I was in a tent. I don't want to live in Junction City, and and she's never been homeless before. Her son works where I work. He saw my note on the board and pleaded with me to take the room because of the emergency scenario they were in. And and then when I talked to her, I just told her straight out, said, I got good news for you. I got the money, it's yours, and I don't want the room. And it probably took her about, I don't know, I tried to calm her down. She was crying a lot, and so I said, why don't you calm down and I'll call you back, in a little while. And I did. I called her back, and she was all calmed down. And then I talked to her about why it was important for me to do it, and how this, Occupy movement is one that really does not want to see people have to suffer, unnecessarily just because of money, for goodness sake. She was in a unique situation. She was on HUD. Something happened at the house with someone who wasn't supposed to be there, and I understand they have rules and regulations. She broke them. However, there's so many people who are getting a break from the government, who have houses and stuff, who have a lot of money, and a lot more than her, and they're losing their places, but the government is giving them some kind of a break, and she's on HUD, really poor. Why can't she have a break? So she broke a rule, you know what I mean? And so that was also an impetus for me to say, essentially, fuck you, and this ain't gonna happen, it's just gonna be another person on the street, and here, a woman who's never had to deal with that before. And so, yeah, I gave her $285, and I said, it's yours, I don't want anything in return, and get your situation together. And she's doing really good now, and she's not on the street, and I can't be happier. I really can't.
That's so amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Oh my goodness. This is just, it's inspiring and heartbreaking all at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
This movement has given me hope like I've never had in my life, and broke my heart all at the same time.
I have often wondered why I was born into this space and time, It is so, Neanderthalic, it is so backward, it is so dog eat dog, and then to tell you the truth, I've been writing about what this movement, has been representing and has been communicating for probably all my life, and so when I started to connect with the people, actually, this is how I actually really started to get involved. Was I was in a place where with two other housemates. Unfortunately, the landlord kind of had psychological, emotional problems. Thought he was going to be our best friend. Started walking in the house when he felt like it. Turns out he had a problem. He wanted to really get close to the female housemate. Walked into her room. We had him arrested. And, this is like he knocked, didn't hear anything. Walked into her room. We had him arrested. And I started to go ballistic, and I started to hang up signs saying, you have to obey the law. You cannot just walk into this place that you've rented to us, and we are not your slaves. The idea being, the masters did not have to knock before they walked into the slave quarters. So I was really trying to hammer it home to him how grave an insult it was. And so, and I hung up signs saying, and if you do knock and nobody answers, go away, and so because I took such a hard line, and he was still trying to, communicate that he could just walk in whenever he wanted, he gave me a 30-day notice, which the police said, you can't do that, no repercussions, because you're breaking the law, etc., etc. And I was hit by a vehicle on September 19, and so this was a place where I was recuperating. And I wound up not having a place. I didn't have any emergency funds or anything, and so I found out that the Occupy camp was at the time at Alton Baker, but they had moved over to the duck pond, and so I just started walking around looking for you all, And then and when I arrived, there was a General Assembly going on, and I listened carefully, and I said, "My goddess, this is what my heart's passion is right now." And I'm going to say one other thing. Okay, what I feel is extremely important to do is to identify that point. For the corporations, yes, but the military, I can talk about a little bit after this, but that point at which the corporate world, the siphoning of money away from the people, away from the workers, becomes exponentially ridiculous, unnecessary, insulting, degrading, and destructive to us and to our culture, right? Because they don't need, hundreds of billions of dollars. They don't need to, siphon away from our lives, our energy, so that they can pretty much, get more power over the government, get more power over the people, lobby things that will harm us, lobby for interference in other countries in ways that will then begin to subjugate them to the same crap, that we are being subjugated to. And once that point is found, where is that point where it becomes exponentially ridiculous, okay? Then we should start to identify what can we do to begin to pull away at those legs and weaken their structures, their corporate structure, their power, their influence, all of that. And that would include the senators and congressmen, who get all kinds of gifts and monies and influence and power themselves for supporting these idiots, But that is something that I think is extremely important. Identify that point where it becomes exponentially ridiculous and start pulling the legs from beneath, the substrata.
I think you should be president.
But anyway,
I'll take you any day.
But anyway, start pulling away. Once you find that point, that exponential point where it becomes absurd, then right beneath that, start pulling those legs out, from under them. What are the businesses? What are the banks? Whatever. What are the corporations? And boycott, direct actions, going into their businesses, and standing there, whatever we have to do, But that is something that I feel is why I'm here, actually. That to me is one of the most important things that I hope we eventually, collectively can begin to do as an action. And this camp here has been a fantastic thing. Before this, right, when, because I'm between places, I don't have any prospects in Eugene, which is why, I essentially said, no, this woman needs help, and I just gave my money to her, and so, but being here has been wonderful for me, because prior to that, when I didn't have a place, and I was between places and I couldn't find places to crash, it was a black piece of plastic, find a nice place that had a lot of really good bush cover in an alley somewhere, and then roll up in it, and I'm working, and I'm working, wake up, walk down the alley, a few times a night.
Got moist water coming. Go ahead.
Wake up in the middle of the night, a few times, walk down the alley, take a piss, roll back up in the plastic,
Yeah.
and then, find a place to clean up and then go to work. But here, there's community, there's energy that I can put into things that, help other people. I am able to talk with people, and there's good energy, and it's fantastic, as opposed to, just having to go it alone. And so this has been a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And I have thought that I was sorry that the reason why we're really essentially getting pulled down is because of a lot of the peripheral stuff that's gone around, the people who are committed activists. And I'm not blaming them in a negative sense. I'm just saying that I wish that we had ourselves kind of circled ourselves like, the wagons circling around, and said, okay, this is who we are. This is a political protest, and yes, these other people are here too, but recognize us for who we are and what we're doing, and and this is where we are, and that's where they are, and we will try to help and all that, but we cannot really be responsible for everybody. And I have to say, I really didn't come here to become involved in a movement to save the world, but to destroy it, so that we can essentially, and I mean that metaphorically, so that we can rebuild it in a fashion that really, truly, allows us to work together and to provide for each other, and to build a society that is extremely positive, that will give our children their best hopes and aspirations to become something other than cannon fodder for this country's military. I've always thought, it wouldn't it be wonderful if everywhere in the world, everyone who had to have a president or leader, one of the rules would be, if you feel that you need to conscript our children to go and fight and die and kill for you, you're fired. I mean, really, every single leader in the world, you know, and instead get somebody who actually has enough intelligence to compromise, to communicate, you know, and to work with others, you know. But this whole thing, I mean, we were all born into a predefined culture, predefined political structure, predefined economic structure, predefined religious belief systems, right? And I've always thought, you know, if people could just imagine, you know, everyone in the world could just imagine, what would it be like if we were not raised with predefined conceptions and were asked, okay, well, let us decide for ourselves, you know, what do we want, you know, and just say maybe to the kids, you know, Jewish kids, Arab kids, maybe just saying, what do we want? What would we want for ourselves? Do we want war? Do we want peace? You know, do we want to be able to live in unity together? Would we like to be able to travel across borders without any problem whatsoever, you know, because nobody's fighting against anybody. Nobody really has to worry about, you know, where we are. We are Terran creatures. I believe we are actually universal creatures. We are children of the universe, okay? And as, pardon, as Terran creatures, we should be able to travel anywhere on this planet. You know, this is our mother, you know. She holds us in our bosom, and as far as I'm concerned, you know, bless the goddess, this is our birthright, you know. And so, and then the last thing I want to share is, as far as the military is concerned, I personally believe that the senators and congressmen should not have the power or authority to ascribe all of this money, you know, to the military. I think that it should be in the people's hands to say, no, you know, 9/10 of the budget, you know, and taxes is way too much. You know, maybe 1/10, you know, if that's even necessary. And I was told, and I've never really checked it out, but I was told that even if we had 1/10 of the military expenditure that we use now for this country, we'd still be the most quote-unquote powerful, you know, military country in the world. Whatever the hell good that really does, you know? I mean, all that really means is that we've got to be the most biggest badasses, and we have to subjugate everybody to our will, you know? And like, to hell with that. But if we could, if the people, if that power was really in the hands of the people, you know, then we can, you know, say, no, this money for education, this money for healthcare, you know? And like, we can really start deciding what's really, you know, what are the things that we really need, not just be subjugated to this nonsense, you know? End the story.
I was going to say something really quick.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My name is Michael Wilden. You know, I'm not too good at talking and stuff, but you know what I want to say is, you know, well, I was going from Portland to San Francisco, and unfortunately I took some gin on there, and they threw me off the Amtrak in handcuffs because somebody said I had a half a pint of gin, and told me I couldn't get a refund. So I got stuck here, and I said okay with that. But the thing of it is, and then I ran into this Occupy here. I was in Occupy Portland, and didn't help me. But I have to make it till the 1st, and then I heard, you know, we have until like next month, and you know, a lot of other people, you know, they had plans. There's old people here. You know, I helped an old lady build her tent. She was on her hands and knees out here, and she was crying after I helped her build her tent, but she couldn't do it herself. I helped her, but what I want to say is this, you know, the legislator or whoever they were that promised us that we could stay till the 15th, and then they said that they were going to have 3 officers guarding everywhere so we'd be safe. You know, because I was camping out in Eugene, and a police officer came out up to me and he said, I can take you to jail right now for a criminal trespassing charge. I'm warning you right now, and everything's being recorded. If you sleep anywhere in Eugene, you're going to be arrested at the very least. So he said, go to Occupy. And he goes, you'll be safe there until then. He promised me that. So I came over here, and I've been fine. But the thing of it is, you know, these officers, they walk around in groups of 3, and because they're too scared to walk by themselves, and then they go on these donut runs, and then they come back and there's somebody hurt in a tent. But you know, you know, they promised us. There's people here that wasn't guilty, and there's people that made plans, and you know, for Christmas, and they were all happy. And this old woman, she's gone. The one I helped her build it, I don't know where she went, but everybody's packing up. They have nowhere to go. They tell us people to go to the Buckley House. It's just a detox center. It only holds like 12 people, and they're telling everybody to go over there. And you know, the thing of it is these police officers, they should have been stationed like 4 police officers, one in one corner, one in another corner, one in another corner, and one in another corner, and had radio contact, and you know, protected us and the people that are innocent. But there was one little incident that happened, and that's what they were waiting for to happen. They let it happen because they weren't doing their job. They walk around and then they leave and come back an hour later, and they weren't here protecting us, the ones who need to be protected. And they promised us this. They promised us a place safe to stay. But they are the ones that didn't protect it. This ain't that big of a place. They could have had 4 cops stationed in 4 different corners. These lights that they were running, they burn 20 gallons of gas every 3 days, and there's 3 of them. That's 60 gallons. They're doing that. They got, I don't know who put the outhouses, and they said they're working with. No, they're not working with us. They come in and then they leave, and they let us. Some rowdies come in here, and then they blame everybody. But the ones that are innocent shouldn't have to suffer. They should position police officers and stand there like this and do their job. And you know, they're police officers. They can stand there at attention and just guard one section. But they walk around in groups of 3s because they're too damn scared. And they're pussy ass cops. Anyway, all I want to say is this. And then they say, oh, they're working with us. They're not working. And they're not helping us, and they're not getting to know us. They're not being friendly and getting to know people. They walk up to people and say, give me your ID. They should be being friendly, shaking their hands and getting to know them, even being in their tents with them. I don't care, whatever it takes, and getting rid of all the idiots. They should do their job. They're scared police officers, and all they want to do is get rid of us and get us out of here because we're just too much of a pain in the ass for them, and they just don't want to deal with it. But they promised us, and now they're kicking old women out. They're going to take your tent and tear it up. They'll take all your property and throw it in a dumpster. They already did it once to me. And they'll throw everything away and just throw you in jail. You know.